Hey, this is Africa Archield. I'm so excited. It's Thursday and it is time for Tech30. So normally I start off the Tech30 with me already on Periscope. But this time I'm going to do it the other way because I've been actually getting a lot of questions about Periscope and I love Periscope. So I'm going to go ahead and start it for you guys. Live on Tech30. So this is going to kind of be strange, but so I have it. There we go. Can you see it? Can you see it? As part of my apps, which I have under a little folder called social media, so I can find it on my phone. And I'm loading up Periscope now. It's kind of like really blinded out, but I think you can see it. So all I have to do is at the bottom. Ooh, it's still kind of blinding out for you guys. I hit the third button. And it says, what are you seeing now? And so it starts showing a picture of my room. So I can just say, Tech30 is live, ask your questions, which is not the best thing. You want to have something on there a little bit more appealing to people. So they're going to want to jump on your scope. So I'm just putting Tech30 is live. Ask your tech questions. Ask your online biz tech questions now. Tech and strategy questions, right? It's weird because I'm doing this live with you guys. Questions now. There we go. So, whoopsies. Okay, so I wrote my little message on there. It's weird. I kind of have to do it at an angle so you guys can see it. So you can see I read that. I'm going to start the broadcast, which is a big red button. There's a few more buttons on here where you can go ahead and hide where you are, and I normally do. So the only thing it's going to do for me is automatically tweet out that I'm on live, okay? So I'm going to hit start broadcast. I'm going to swipe down. I'm sorry. I'm just going to double tap the phone to flip it so that I'm on. So that is how you start a live Periscope feed. And so all I did was mount it over here so I can look at you and I can look over here and I can start answering questions. So that's what's going on there. There we go. And so far I already have 2 people on. Hello, 2 folks over at Periscope. So sorry I didn't see your names come through. I'm doing a dual thing. I'm simulcasting on Google Hangout and on Periscope. So feel free to ask me all your tech questions and strategy questions that have to do with online biz. So that's what we got going on today. I had a few questions that have already come in. So if you've got a question and you are on the Google Hangout, go ahead and put them into the chat box. And if you've got a question and you are on Periscope, start typing them in. I'm going to be glancing over. So if I see it, but I don't quite see it all, I might ask you to retype it. Go ahead, share this out if you're over on Periscope. Tap and give me some hearts. You can share it by swiping over to your left or hitting the little button, the little icon button if you're on there on an Android. There we go. I was going to get all that together sooner than later, wasn't I? Okay. So, hey, Hanrak, good to see you on here. Oh, thanks for sharing it over on Twitter. I really appreciate that. Okay. So let me get to that first question that came on. I'll be, again, glancing both places to see if there's some other questions. So the question I got earlier this week, and this was from Loretta. Loretta asked, let's see. Let me have the exact, I have my answer. I didn't have her question. Okay, can you recommend a simple, preferably free video editing program? I've been getting a lot of questions about video and video editing and how to set up. And, y'all are making me think I might need to just do a whole course on just doing video. But right now, let me go ahead and answer Loretta's question. So first and foremost, if someone asks me a question like this, because they are editing video, they're not necessarily doing it online. Therefore, the program they're going to use is not going to be agnostic, right? You've got to have a specific program for whatever operating system you're running. So my first question is always going to be, are you on a PC or are you on a Mac, right? Because just because the same program runs on both systems, does not necessarily mean it's the best for both systems, right? If you could do something program agnostic, if you could edit something online, which you can do for free, okay, you can use Creator Studio, which is part of YouTube. Okay, so if you upload your video to YouTube, you can use Creator Studio and you can edit it. Now, do I highly recommend this? No. Do I think it's simple? Somewhat. It's beautiful for when you've shot a video and you want to take a little bit off the front and a little bit off the back, right? You don't want where you're coming up to the camera and pressing the end, right? Or you don't want to see the camera come on and you're setting yourself up to do the video. And so it's perfect for that, taking a little bit off the front, a little bit off the back. But to completely edit the video, to put in like text overlays or links or other pictures, to do different camera angles, all that kind of stuff, no, it is not great for that. Okay, so not that it can't be done in there, it's just not the easiest thing to do, or, you know, you're limited. That's a beautiful way of saying it's limited. Okay, it's free. I think of it for quick and dirty editing. But that is the one I would say is free. There's several other programs out there. I'm not going to go into a whole host of them. But if she were on a PC, so Loretta, if you're on a PC, I would say, you know, if you're willing to go and spend some money, even just for the one time, get Camtasia. It's what I use. I use it all the time because I have a PC. I love it. I don't think that it's insanely difficult. You know, with every program, you're going to have a learning curve. It is what it is. Okay. But I don't think it's difficult to learn. I do tutorials for my clients on Camtasia, so I think it's pretty easy. On Mac, you could get ScreenFlow. So if you're on Mac, get ScreenFlow. Again, I haven't used ScreenFlow, but from what I understand, all my friends who use Macs love it. Now, the next question I usually get, and I mentioned this in my response back to Loretta earlier, is, but what about that software that comes on my computer, right? So you're going to have software that already comes on your computer. So it is free and you can use it. I usually find that software, no matter if it's on a PC or a Mac, to be highly frustrating and not very intuitive, okay, for what I do. Okay, for what I do, the kind of editing that I do. Again, if it's just you're putting together clips of things, or, you know, like iMovie is supposed to be wonderful. But I had a friend who wanted to do some editing like I do, and it was terrible. She just couldn't make it work. She called me over. We worked on it for a while. I got it to work, but holy moly, it would have been so much easier if she would have used Camtasia. That's what I'm familiar with. But I would think it'd be as easy to use on ScreenFlow, because I've seen screenshots of it, and it's a lot like Camtasia in the back end. So if for video editing, those are my recommendations. So Loretta, hopefully you're watching right now and you got this. And if you have other questions, I am more than happy to answer. Okay, so questions on Periscope, questions via chat, and I'm coming over here to check the chat out really quick. Let's see here. Whoops. All right, so Tango. And I should say this, right now I'm using a program for my online chat called Chat Tango. I used to use Chatwing. It was having all sorts of problems, not just for me. It's because, at some point you think, yeah, maybe it's just me. But it turns out there was problems were just abounding for a lot of my friends who were trying to use it at that time. So now I'm using Chat Tango, and it seems to be working really well. So if you've been looking for a program to use as a chat system, you might want to try Chat Tango. Okay. All right. So what are the best times to be on social media? Okay, that's a really interesting question. The best times to be on social media is when your clients are. That's the best times to be on social media. Oh, and how do you make an ad for social media? That's a good question as well. So the best times to be on social media is when your clients are on social media. When you're first getting started, you really don't know when that is. Okay, so let's just be honest about that. So then I would say the best time to be on social media, you could go and you can Google it. Okay, you can Google the best time to be in social media, put the year. So right now it's 2015. So I put 2015, so I'd have the latest data. Okay, and I can, when I post this out, I will put a link to some of the latest data points that I use. I believe that's really important to do. And it'll tell you based on some demographics and whatnot, who's on what piece of social media. That's your first thing you need to think about. Not everyone who's on Pinterest is on Facebook is on Instagram, right? They're all kind of catered to different demographics. And then it's going to tell you when there's the most people on. One of the ones I used, which I thought was great, it even got so detailed on Twitter to say, if you want someone to retweet, this is the best time, versus if you just want someone to see it or you want someone to do replies. And the same thing on Pinterest, it did that too. So the one I'll post is pretty detailed. I really enjoyed it. But that kind of goes to the best times to be on social media. As for making an ad, wow, that varies by where you're putting it. And there's a lot of rules. And they're common sense rules for the most part, okay? But there's a lot of rules around whether or not your ad will be approved, okay? Whether or not it'll be approved from that network. And it's not only what the ad looks like. So I'm thinking like Facebook, they have a rule that only 25% of the ad can have text in it. So that's one rule, but there's also rules on where's that ad leading the consumer, right? Because each of these platforms wants to make sure that you're producing good content in a way that's not bait and switch or any of this other kind of stuff for their consumers. So usually they're going to look at the landing page as well to make sure that's something that also complies. So whenever you're doing ads, you need to make sure it complies with all the rules. Like I said, most of them are common sense, obviously. And probably the biggest thing, just to make it easy, is you want the ad to be congruent. You want whatever ad you create, whether it's a text ad, some kind of image, or a video, as they move from where that ad is somewhere on social media or somewhere else on the internet to your landing page, to wherever that ad is leading them. You want the messaging to be the same. You don't want it to be totally off. It's kind of like if I had an ad with a picture of me in it, and then I took them to a page and it had a picture of someone else. It'd be like, what on earth is going on? Did I click on the right thing? You know? Or if my ad had something to do with shaving, right? And they clicked on the ad and they went to something to do with making dresses. You know, you want the ad to make sense. And the nicest thing you can do for your clients is to have that congruency, to have it to where, if possible, the same picture, if not the same kind of imaging, okay, if you're using an image at all or video, at least the same person, right? You want the language in the ad to match the language on the landing page, right? That makes sense. Again, you want them to feel safe that they're going to the right place, because another thing that all of these platforms are using is someone clicks on your ad, how long do they stay on the landing page? Okay. Facebook has come out with a relevancy score, because if people are clicking on your ad, like you got it to where they're clicking through to the website, but they don't stay there long, they bounce right off, then they're saying there's probably something wrong. Okay. So that's one thing you want to think about with ads. Also with ads, you want to have, this is like, that was a really broad question, by the way. But also with the ads, you want to make sure that you're speaking to whatever the client really wants, right? That's how you're going to get the click anyway. And it's not about just, I want them to know everything right now. It's really about get the click. It's just about the click to get to the next step. Every step is about the next step. All you're doing, you know, as salesy as it sounds, is selling the next step. That's all you're doing. So, you know, you don't have to disclose everything in the known world about your product on your ad. Just enough to get them to the landing page to learn a little bit more. And just enough on that landing page, let's say, to get them to commit to whatever's next, whether it's a purchase or whether it is to give their name and email address. Okay, so it's all about just selling the next step. Okay, so I hope that helps with ads. I know that was kind of broad, and I'm not sure it's quite where you want to go, so I think that came off of Periscope. So just let me know if you have more questions about how to set up ads, or if I answered your question, more importantly, and give me some hearts. I'd like some hearts out there. Okay, another question from the site. How many times is too many times to post on social media? Is there a limit? Gee whiz, I wish there was a limit. I wish there was a limit, but there is no limit as to how often you can post on social media. I think there's some good guidelines out there to start with. And then you're going to customize what you do depending on how your audience is responding. You know, you don't want to feel spammy about what you're doing, right? That's just terrible to be spammy. But you do want to give good content. So I think, let me give you some ratios and then I'll get into some numbers. So on the ratio side, it's probably a good idea to give about 80 to 90% content. Like, here's some information, whether it's content from you, like your website or something that you're doing, or it's content that you curated from other places, like things you know will interest your audience, will help them move forward with whatever it is, the end result you know that you're trying to help them with, right? Something that is supplemental to what you're doing, okay? And that, I think, on social media should be about 80 to 90%, okay? And then the other 10 to 20% could be what you're doing, because, you know, you're in business to make money the last time I checked. So make sure that you're putting offers out there. You know, it's really difficult for people to buy if they don't know you're selling anything. So make sure there's a mix in there, but it definitely is not the other way around. It's not 80% offer, 20% content. It is at, you know, about 80% content, 20 at the most % offers. Now there's some other things you can do in there. You know, people would term me like a brand personality. So my business is really me in some aspects. So that 80%, maybe it is 20% of that 80% is me and what's going on in my lifestyle, right? Because I kind of have a lifestyle brand thing going. And maybe then the other part is content, whether it's mine or someone else's. And maybe I'll look at the percentage of that content that's going out too. So what, that's 60% left. So maybe 30% my content, 30% someone else's content. And you can look at it over the course of a day. You can look at it over the course of a week, depending on how often you're posting, right? So that goes back to the original question. They say on Facebook, you know, you can post at least 3 times a day. You could probably get to about 12. It really depends on what your audience can stand. But if you start at 3, you start working your way up, and you kind of start feeling backlash, you can kind of back it back down. Pinterest, 3 or 4 times a day. Instagram, same thing. LinkedIn, maybe once or twice a day. Twitter, you can actually tweet an awful lot, because just the life of a tweet is very short. That's the real reason why. So you can tweet out probably a good, you know, start at 8 or 9 times a day. And you could get up to probably 20 and then, you know, back down from that. So it kind of depends on the platform, how often. Google Plus, I'd say once or twice a day. So hopefully that answers that question. Thank you for the hearts, because, yeah, I know that's going to answer that question. Okay, so the next question, how do you know how your ads are being received? Oh, okay, kind of answered that. Oh, on Facebook. So I would say the relevancy score is a really good one. Thanks for the hearts. The relevancy score is big. Facebook is offering that out now. I think you have to have had your ads served to 300 or 500 people. I can't remember off the top of my head. And I would not say I'm the marketing guru, but I've studied a lot on marketing. So once you have reached that, they'll give you a score, and that'll tell you how it's being received. And also, the higher your score, the lower your cost to serve up your ad. So it's really a good idea to have that high relevancy score. And like I said, congruency will help a whole lot, where people click on the ad and they stay on the page they go to for a period of time because they'll see how the two are linked. Okay, and then of course to have people click on the ad at all, or like it, or share it, all that helps with your relevancy score too. I love it when I see my ads shared. Are you kidding me? That's awesome. And of course, I love the likes and comments and all that kind of stuff. And you want to get that on your ads. You want to get that social engagement. But definitely all those things help with relevancy score. Okay. How do you know you are posting your own stuff too much? Okay, I kind of answered that earlier. And like I said, you just want to have a good balance. Okay, like I said, if you're going to make an offer, that should be maybe 10 to 20% of what you're putting out there. The rest should just really be good content, something that's going to help them move forward. And if you're more of a personal brand, lifestyle brand, you know, let that be of that 80 to 90%, let that be 10 to 20% of that. Okay. Okay, that's a good question. Ask me more questions on Periscope or over here in the chat. I did have another question come up from someone. I actually had a couple more come up. Let's see. This is a really long one. I know I need to edit this because I don't exactly want to give away what Natasha said, everything Natasha said. But I had a question come in from Natasha. She was really upset. She had paid someone off of Fiverr to put up her website. She had bought the theme, it looks like, and they put up the website. They did some other coding in there, and they thought they were going to, friend looked at it, said, you're going to break it, and the site didn't look good, and their friend helped with some of the coding to at least make it responsive, but, you know, boom, it was a hot mess. To make a long story short, it's a hot mess, and she's trying to figure out how to continue on. And let me tell you, this right to said, hey, Danielle, nice to see you here. Go ahead and ask some questions. I'm going to be on for a few more minutes. So what I would say, if you are going to have someone do your site, oh, I'm so glad you're checking in, girl. If you're going to have someone do your site, okay, I'm a big fan of DIY. Okay, honestly, I've been doing websites a long time, back when you would hand code the HTML. Like, I actually learned HTML, then went to several colleges and taught others how to do HTML. Yes, give me some heart love. I'm an old school coder. And definitely share this out on Twitter if you would for me. Oh my God. And it's so much fun, and it was so gratifying. But those were really almost the internet dark ages. And now we can do so much more, and it's so much easier. And I want to tell people, don't be afraid. Don't be afraid. You could do so much more yourself that will look good. So first thing I would say to Natasha is, let's take a look at it. You know, I always make time for people. You're welcome to jump on, reach out to me, africaarchield.com/talktech, book a time. Let's talk about what the heck is going on with your technology or your strategy or whatever else. And that'd be the first thing I'd say to Natasha, because it sounds like there's some back end stuff kind of messed up. But if you're going to hire someone, you want to make sure they can do a good job. And I know it can be kind of scary because you're like, what's a good job? How will I know? Well, you want to see what they've done. You want to look at their own website. If their own website's all jacked up, chances are good that you don't want them doing your website. Another thing, and this is something that I stress to my clients because I think it's so dang important. You want someone who's going to teach you how to work on your own site, you know, as much as you want to learn. Okay, so I'm big about empowering women to learn as much tech as they want to learn, but it doesn't mean that they necessarily really want to learn all that tech, right? So I tell people you at least need to know how to post your own blog post, right? If you're doing a blog, you need to know how to do that. Or you need to learn enough to go in and make a change. If you see an error with a word or a phrasing that you want to change, to be able to go in the back end and get those things done, okay? On up to being able to create whole pages and layouts and whatnot, you know. So make sure whoever you're hiring is willing to teach you enough so you can go in and make some changes on your own. You don't want to be, you know, chained to this person. That's not really helpful to you. That's not very empowering. You know, and I think really the scary situation that Natasha ended up with was the person did so much damage on the back and the side to the theme and whatnot that it took another person to go in and try to untangle that to at least make it responsive. So it is a hot mess. I don't want that to happen to anyone ever. So it's really important to, like I said, do some research, you know, go for testimonials, ask them a lot of questions, make sure they're willing to teach you how to go in and make changes. I think that's the biggest thing. If they're not willing to teach you how to go in and make changes, probably not someone you want to work with right there, okay? So that's like the biggie for me. If their website's messed up or they're not willing to teach you how to make changes, we're done. Okay, so we're about to wrap up, but there's another question over here. What's the best way to use WordPress? Jinx, you're killing me. That's a really broad question. WordPress. So there's two kinds of WordPress. There's WordPress.com and WordPress.org. WordPress.com is where you can just go in and create a blog. It's awesome. It's a wonderful way to get started if you need to get a presence up and you just don't know how to do anything else. Eventually, you'll want to put on your big girl panties and create your own online presence independent of other platforms. And then you'll be looking at WordPress.org, which is when I talk about a WordPress installation. It just becomes the backbone, the background, like the foundation of a house. WordPress.org, that plugin becomes the foundation of your online presence of your website. And from there you build on. And usually by building on, I mean you add a theme, kind of like Natasha said, I had a WordPress and then I bought a theme and then it got messed up. So you bring in the theme, that's what comes next. So, but other than that, man, WordPress is really darn flexible, from doing e-commerce stores, so you can have like a little shop online, to running membership sites, you know, places where you could go in, take quizzes, kind of almost like a mini university or classrooms. The sky is really the limit, because there's so many plugins that work with it now. You can do just about anything, galleries, all sorts of stuff. So let your imagination run wild. And I actually really encourage that. If you're out there, you have a website, you have a message, you have a message and you want to build a site, go out there and just really live your dream, okay? Dream big, because if you have a big dream, if you have a vision that is big enough, you can get it online and you can make it happen, you know? And whether you work with me or you work with someone else, it really doesn't matter. It's a point of getting out there your gift, right? Getting it out there, because there's people waiting. You know, they're waiting for you to shine bright enough so they can see you, so they feel, you know, free to shine just as bright to reach the people they need to reach. You know, as a species, as a world, we're all interconnected, okay? And I think sometimes because of the digital distance, I will like to call it, we can kind of lose the idea of that connectiveness. But it is always there. It is one of those things that is omnipresent. We are all connected. We all need one another. So with that, I'm going to go ahead and close down Tech30. I haven't seen any other questions popping up. So I will say this. If you need me, like I said, you go to africaarchield.com/Tech30. You can also check out, if you just go to africaarchield.com and you want to jump on the next Tech30, you can do so there. There's a link right there at the top of the page where you can do that. And you can also check out my new program, Maximize Your Message, which is awesome. But it goes over all these things, really some of them that we talked about today, about getting your business online, get your whole online presence going, and then getting out there in a way so that you can be visible and engage with your audience and really start getting your message to where people can take it in and you're giving that gift that you're meant to give to the world. So with that, I say be peaceful, joyous, and love-filled. Have a wonderful day.